Hello, and welcome to Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service. Our show's promise is a dedication to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for service, and how Rotary has been the organization to bring it together. The goal of the show is to grow the Rotary family by connecting through service projects. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm our co-host, Joseph Kirk.
And today we have yet again another special guest with us, and that individual is Mike Kaiser of Good Samaritan. And so, Mike, say hello to our listeners.
Hello, Searching for Service listeners.
We are happy to have you on and very excited to dive into all that is about Good Samaritan. I'll be honest with you, I did a little bit of research and found a fun article from Forest Lake Times.
Okay.
Is that right? It came out on September 2nd. And from what I read from that article, I'm just diving in, Joe. I'm sorry.
Fire away.
From what I read from the article, really all of this started about 5 years ago. You'll be coming up on your 6th year.
Right.
2017, and there was a tornado that hit in the Forest Lake area. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Share that story. I'd love to hear a little bit more about it.
Okay. Well, it kind of goes back even a little further than that. I've got a group of friends, a bunch of guys that we meet once a week. And you guys probably have heard the theory that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right?
Oh, yeah.
So these are my 5, my guys. And the week before they had challenged us, we challenged each other to let's go out and do something good for your community. And so I was out for a run one morning and I saw a bunch of trees down and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool just to show up a bunch of guys, show up with maybe some saws, trucks, trailers, pick up someone's debris, haul it away and say, have a great day. That's free. Just pay it forward to someone else.
Sure.
So I got home and I told my wife about the idea and she's like, that sounds awesome. Do it. And so I went on nextdoor.com, everybody's favorite complaining website.
Yeah.
And I typed up a little paragraph that said, here's my idea. I want to do one project a month, about 4 hours, so it doesn't ruin your whole weekend. I'm looking for people in the trades that can help paint, electrical, the 4, 5, 6 different trades. If I could get a couple guys from each one and we could just show up, or girls, sorry, I don't mean to be sexist. I said, who would be interested in doing that? And the first day I had 37 people say, I want to be part of this. And
so neat.
Yeah. And by the end of the week, we had over 100 people
Wow.
on Nextdoor that said, sign me up for this. I want to do this.
A true testament to just how many people are actually out there, and not even Rotarians at that. I'm sure you've probably encountered some Rotarians and just
at the time I
starting
didn't realize it, but I was interacting with Rotarians because I just recently joined, and I'm a rookie Rotarian. I've only been to a few meetings, so I'm about 3 or 4 months into it.
Oh, gotcha.
Great.
Okay, well,
same as Kelly.
Well, wow. I'm coming up on a year.
Are you?
I am.
Are you really? Wow,
February.
Is it already been a year? Holy smokes.
Goes fast.
But still a rookie at that. So I actually want to hear a little bit more about how you got into the Rotary family, how it came into your circumference, and what you're loving about it so far.
Okay. It's funny, the first Rotary meeting I ever went to was my friend Nick Benardzik. He's one of my top 5. And he actually at the time was the president of the Coon Rapids Rotary.
Okay.
And he invited me to come speak there about the Good Samaritans and saying, tell us the story. And we're thinking we might want to start a Good Samaritan group of our own. So I did. I went to 2 meetings. The second one I spoke at, gave about a half an hour presentation, slideshow presentation. And then sure enough, they started their own. Now there's a Anoka County Good Samaritan group. And they have, they've joined up with the police, the fire department, all kinds of different other charities and nonprofits in that area.
Wonderful. Wow. And so you said you since have joined your own Rotary.
Right. Forest
Lake. Yeah. And that was just a few short months ago.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of the new kid on the block.
Cool.
And what prompted you to join Rotary?
Well, I kept running into people from Rotary that kept inviting me to their meetings. Karen Moorhead, we joke in town that we say there's 4 of her somehow around town because she's at every event you ever go to. And she's just awesome. And Susan Young is another one that I kept seeing them. They would come to all the Good Samaritan events, and then they would invite me to Rotary.
Mhm.
And so I went to a few meetings, and then finally said, "Yeah, I want to be part of this."
So,
Cool.
so as a new Rotarian and somebody that came that started something, in Good Samaritan before Rotary, and a lot of this audience that listens to this show are non-Rotarians just seeking service,
Mhm.
and kind of walk them through, why did Rotary make sense? Did it seem like that it was just a natural partnership, or was it that, there was a specific connection that tied Rotary into your organization specifically, but just service in general?
Yeah, the main thing that I saw was I kept running into the same people in our community over and over that were out there to help people,
Hmm.
and they were the Rotarians, and so they were coming to all of our events. We do cleanups, we do a bunch of different yard cleanups, and we do citywide cleanest city in America contests and things like that.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more in the
Yeah.
next segment. I,
Okay,
I, I can't wait to
okay.
talk a little bit more about how that came about.
Yeah, yeah. And so I kept seeing those people at our events. And then I started going to the meetings and I realized that like literally every person in that room, their whole MO, their goal was to help other people in the community.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And that's something for me that's always been important.
So similar values, similar participation and drive and direction.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I mean, that's just helpful for people that are out there that are trying to figure out what to do or how to serve. And, you know, it's come up on this show many times that Rotary seems to be the right vehicle in matching you up because they participate in everything. And, it was funny actually, even right before this recording, we were joking that we're kind of like a Starbucks. You find a Rotarian on every single
Yeah.
corner, and most of the time you don't know it.
Mhm.
So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that is a nice tie-in. Something that I'm curious about too is since becoming a Rotarian, what's been the biggest surprise in doing so? Something that you've learned or have felt
I think
in
that
doing so.
for me, the coolest thing has been learning about other groups like ours that I didn't know even existed. Every week, someone comes in and speaks, and it's always
Hmm.
a charity or a nonprofit that I had no idea even was around.
Hmm.
And so you get exposed to a lot of people, like-minded people that want to help people. Um, and then I think it's nice that we will celebrate high school students and bring them in and give them awards and things like that. And it's good to get the young kids involved.
What is that interact?
You're right. Yeah.
Interact. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm still learning. I'm starting to like fit the puzzle pieces together. And ironically, I had breakfast this morning with somebody who's a part of the Edina Chamber, and she's also a fellow Rotarian, and she's president elect. So I had no idea that even like and I feel silly even saying this out loud right now, but I didn't realize that that term came up in July. I should know that, but she's like, "Yeah, I'll be starting in July," and I was like, "That okay, that makes sense."
Yeah, the Rotary
but
year
it
ends in June.
but it feels like it goes so quickly. So, anyways, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I digress.
I totally digress. So, yeah, that's really great, Mike, and thank you so much for just sharing how you've encountered many Rotarians and becoming a part of the Rotary family. It truly is like a family.
Mike,
It's
are you
great.
originally from Forest Lake?
No, I grew up in Mounds View,
Okay, so
so not
northern suburbs.
not too
Yeah.
far.
Right,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. And how long have you been in Forest Lake?
26 years.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Good little trek up 35.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I have a really close friend of mine, and she's a health coach of mine too, who lives up in the Forest Lake area. And I actually asked her, I was like, "Hey, have you heard of Good Samaritans and this Mike Kaiser character?" And she goes, "I have." So we'll get into that
Oh,
here in the
great.
next section on how she knows you and
Okay.
that tie-in too. So, anything else you want to add, Joe?
Well, we didn't really get to get into your background as much as we'd like. We kind of jumped into
I know. I'm
everything else.
sorry.
No, it's
I
all
got
right.
excited.
I know it's all good. But no, we're excited to talk more about the Good Samaritan project itself. Like how you guys identify projects, how do
Mhm.
you recruit people, how do you, you know, you talked a little bit before the show about sponsorship and how you guys support the group itself. So we'll be really excited to talk more about that in the next segment.
Sounds good.
All right. As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. See you on the next flip side.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. And as a reminder, we love our 5-star reviews on your podcast platforms out there.
Your favorite podcast platforms.
All of them.
Out there.
All of them. I expect you to go on all of them and write a review.
Hey, have you done that yourself, Joe? Called out. That's okay. I haven't either.
I feel like it seems pretty silly to do it ourselves. I mean, of course, yeah.
Nobody knows. It can be anonymous.
Mm.
So, anyways.
Sounds like an action item.
I know. If you're tuning in for the first time, we have with us Mike Kaiser of Good Samaritan, out of the Forest Lake area, but not just specifically for the Forest Lake area. So we did just a little bit of a dive into you and your background, but I think let's devote this next section to learning a little bit more about Good Samaritan and um yeah.
Yeah, I think a great way to start is it sounded like you went for a run, which is sounds like where you do your best thinking.
Right.
And you
Not
know,
like others in the shower.
what are you saying? Anyway, but after this initial, your first event and everything happened, and all of a sudden you had to kind of perpetuate this and keep this going. What was the mindset around that? What was the process behind that of not only identifying projects but people, and where did you think it would go initially?
Well, we initially, and actually, it's the Forest Lake Area Good Samaritans is the full name, and our acronym is FLAGS.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
And we didn't want to, like you say, we go outside of Forest Lake. We didn't want to just exclude people in the surrounding communities. So we do projects all over the place, and as far as Stillwater, and even we did one out in Delano, Hugo. We'll go all over the place.
Sure.
So we really wanted it to the pay it forward model where it just goes viral, right? For a random act of kindness, pay it forward math, right? You do something nice and you ask 3 other people to do something nice, and in 18 days, the whole world has had 2 random acts of kindness given to
Yeah.
them. And that was kind of our goal from the beginning, is we want this to, and actually we came up with our mission statement that says, at the very end of it, it says we want to have a model that other communities can adopt.
Hmm.
And so that's starting to take place, which Chisago just started a club, the Chisago Lakes Area Good Neighbors Club. And so we're getting a little bit of traction. Anoka's got one now. So we're starting to see some results. And we kind of had that vision in the first couple meetings. We used to meet at Keys Cafe up
Oh,
in
yeah.
Forest
Oh,
Lake.
I love
Yummy.
keys.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I think part of the power of this show and is the reach. Like we are reaching. I mean, we're not just reaching District 5950 and 5960. We're reaching anybody who's picking this up and listening to it or listening to the radio. And I guess the best thing for you to explain to everybody is how would, let's say that I'm interested in starting a local group, like walk us through what steps would you take? What's the model?
Well, we just did exactly that. The Chisago Lakes Area Good Neighbor Club, they contacted us and said, "Hey, we saw you on Facebook with your videos and the stuff you're doing, and we kind of have a club already. They were a snowmobile group, kind of a social group,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and we've got this good core group of people already, but we'd like to do a little bit more philanthropy and things like that. So could you come talk to our group and kind of teach us how to start our group and model it like yours?" And so Mo, a friend of mine, she's our vice president, and my wife couldn't make it. I think she was working or she had something going on. But so we went out there and gave them a little presentation, and literally just step by step how we started and how we operate our club. And now we're kind of working together with them and trying to take the best ideas from both groups and what's working and what's not working, and see how we can grow our groups.
Sure. And I suppose as it's growing, you're getting more and more data points of what works and what doesn't work, and how to effectively grow faster. So like as more and more of the groups are adopting it, they can adopt it faster and
Yeah, and
more
learn from our
efficiently.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing that we cautioned them on was a garage sale. Don't do a garage sale.
Oh my
I
gosh.
caution anybody from not doing a garage
Oh my
sale.
gosh.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to take it on.
I still feel
Thanks.
guilty about the Cassie was the one that had it at her house, and it was just dumped on her, and it became this burden for a whole weekend.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And we raised like $138 or something. And it was like a disaster.
Totally worth it.
The 60 cents an hour I made
Yeah.
during this weekend.
Right.
Good Lord. That's yeah. I nope, I wouldn't want to.
So you just shared one of the things that the learning lessons of the program. What's been the biggest takeaway from your experience so far positively? So that was don't do garage sales. The
Yeah.
low ROI there.
Yeah, right. The positives are just the people you meet, really. I've met so many people in Forest Lake since I started this, and most of them I didn't know before we started the Good Samaritans. A few of them I did, but we keep growing and growing, and I keep meeting these phenomenal people I didn't know were in my community. So to me, that's the biggest benefit.
Hmm.
The other thing is, the old saying that when giving is a selfish act, right? When you give of yourself, you always get it back in multiples, and I just 100% believe that, and I think my life has been so blessed in the last 5 years, I can't even explain it. But just good things start happening to you when you start to give of yourself. And I think a lot of people in our group are finding that as well.
It's so cool.
Interesting, because I have never heard that saying phrased that way, that in giving it's one of the most selfish acts because of how much you get back from it. But it's true. I mean, it really is, and it's great to hear that that's the impact that you're feeling
Well,
with
it
Good
creates.
Samaritan. Yeah,
Giving creates
sure.
versus it's so the selfishness is kind of a byproduct of what you
Yes.
create versus just being a vacuum cleaner.
My wife and I have a good story on that. We were going through a drive-through at Starbucks, and we said we want to pay for the car ahead of us. And so we got up there, and the barista at the window said, "Hey, guess what? She she wouldn't accept your payment for her meal or her coffee, but she did give you this $50 gift card and wanted you to know that when you're giving, it comes back in multiples."
Oh,
What the
wow.
heck?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
She was like, "I got you,
right.
actually.
Yeah,
You try to get me, but I got you."
yeah.
So that's wonderful. I've been through a Starbucks where that has happened to me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I got to keep it going. I can't let it end with me. I got to do the same thing for the person behind me too. So
Really quick here before we go into the next section, I you before the show you brought some swag for us, which thank you, by the way.
yeah,
I
thank
always
you.
appreciate it. And it displays your sponsors. So can you walk us through really quick how you procured your sponsors? What does that look like? Because on this show we're looking for sponsorships, and and it sounds like that there's some effective model there that's been done on your part that maybe this show can adopt.
Get a
And
little takeaway
you know
from.
Lloyd, we need t-shirts is what it sounds like.
Yes. Searching for Service t-shirts.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I got to say that our first sponsor actually found us, and Steve Stegner is a local guy in town, just a prince of a guy. He sent me an email. He saw what we were doing, and he says, "Hey, I want to have coffee with you. Would you mind meeting for coffee?" And so he kind of took us under a wing, and I didn't know what I was doing. And we started talking about sponsorship, and he kind of said, "Well, I'll be your first sponsor. I'll give you $250.
Oh,
And
wow.
what are you going to do with it?" And I said,
Sounds like a realtor.
Yeah.
and I said, "Well, we're going to make t-shirts. I'm going to give t-shirts away." And he says, "Okay." And he goes, "How many are you going to give away?" I go, "Well, I'd like to have everyone in Forest Lake have a t-shirt." And he goes, "I like the way you think." So that's our goal, is to give away about 18,000 t-shirts. And I think so far we're at about 600 maybe.
Sure.
But that's kind of in a nutshell how it started. And he also gave me a list of people that he thought would help us.
Oh, that's
And
great.
so we called a few business owners. And then we started, once we got a little bit more sophisticated, we actually have a pamphlet now that shows if you're a sponsor for this much, you get this. And if, different logo on the t-shirts. And so our t-shirt is kind of our currency. We get people to come to our events by offering them a free t-shirt. And so hopefully they'll wear it around the community, and people will see it and say, "Hey, how can I get one of these t-shirts?"
Yeah, and they're amazing quality. So
Yes.
I know that you were talking about the cost of the shirt, but I'm like, this is a shirt I'd wear. So it definitely is an
really nice.
effective model. It's not the junky t-shirt that you wash once and half the embroidery comes out and it shrinks 3 sizes.
And then you're washing the car with it.
Yeah, then you're washing the car.
ripping it as dust rag. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because again, that's something that we're trying to learn and grow and try to figure out for this show as well. So appreciate that. That sounds like a really effective model.
As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. We'll see you on the next side.
Welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms and
5-star reviews. And the next side, flip side, whatever I meant on the last thing. You're back. That's all that matters.
we're back. And we're back with Mike Kaiser of Good Samaritan. Forest
Lake area Good Samaritans.
Okay.
Flags.
Yep.
I remembered flags, but I was like, oh, okay, we got it. Mike, share a little bit about Good Samaritans, like your favorite event that has happened so far, I suppose, in the last year. Let's go back to 2022.
Okay. Recently, one that for me has been really kind of heartwarming was there was a young woman with 5 children who found herself separated from her husband kind of right before Christmas. And she was brought to our attention. And so we decided that we would adopt her and her family for Christmas.
Okay.
And so I sometimes say that we're in the business of making people cry. So we got in touch with her, and then we asked her a list of what are your kids' ages and what would they like for Christmas. And so she put together a list of her 5 kids, and the group like literally paid for every single thing. If it wasn't sold out on Amazon, these kids got like everything on their list, and they were told that they may not have Christmas this year, and they're just like, wow. And to top it off, one of our Good Samaritans, he had another group, Mark Templeton. Him and his buddies had their own little group I didn't even know about, but they called themselves the BBE, which is, he told me it's the wrong acronym, but it's baseball extravaganza. He doesn't need the second B. But him and his group came and donated. They do a fundraiser every year. They pick one charity, and they chose this family. And so they came, met at our house, and handed her an envelope with $1,600 for Christmas.
Oh my.
And literally, like, the whole room was crying. It was
Mm.
just this phenomenal, event. And then, the gift cards and gifts kept coming in even after the list was exhausted. So, Forest Lake just really came together for this family, and it was really pretty heartwarming.
And have you heard from her since?
Yeah, she's all about, I want to be part of your group. What's the next project? She's like,
I love it.
we're going to help wherever we can,
That's really incredible. Something that I am curious about, if you could just share this with our listeners, how do you select the people that you're going to help?
Well, initially, the hardest part of our nonprofit was finding projects. And we found that people don't like to ask for help. And so we were kind of creating our own projects for a while, until now we're gotten to the scale where more people know about us. So we're starting to see people reaching out and saying, hey, my neighbor can't plow his driveway. He just had hip surgery. Could you come out and plow his driveway or shovel his driveway? Someone needs a ride somewhere. Someone's roof is leaking, trees, yards, things like that. But it's almost never the person themselves that asks for help. It's
Sure.
always a relative or a neighbor. And as far as choosing goes, we haven't really had a problem vetting. Like, we don't have too many projects thrown at us. There was a couple people that asked for things that, like, it was just kind of like a favor, like they were trying to get their house ready to sell. and
Okay.
and I'm like, well, that's really not in our wheelhouse. We tend to help people that can't help themselves.
Yeah.
And so that was just kind of a misunderstanding.
That's something you can do for yourself.
Right.
So, no, we're going to say no.
I can definitely see the challenge in all that, though,
Yeah.
where the projects themselves is probably the most difficult component, because a lot of people don't like to ask for help.
Right.
And you mentioned something with the favorite story. It was how she was compelled now to help others. Do you see that often in the people that you do help, that they come and join?
Yeah, there's a great story from last fall. A little boy, a lady posted on Nextdoor Facebook happenings that someone stole her little boy's bike. and he was devastated. And he was 7, I think. And I just remember being that kid. And so we decided to get him a bike. And so we contacted her and said, hey, if you don't get your bike back by the end of the day, let me know and we'll get your bike. And so she's become this huge fan of the Good Samaritans. And we ended up getting her and her husband and the little boy a bike so they could all ride together.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm not saying the Good Samaritan. It was like the whole community came together and just started throwing money at and literally I'd come home from work and there'd be cash under my mat in my front door. So people just like really, felt that this kid needs a new bike. But she's become this huge advocate of ours, and she's actually heading up we have Snow Angels. The hat is the Snow Angel hat.
Mm-hmm.
She's heading up part of the Snow Angel group for helping people get dug out after snowstorms. So she's really dug in and got involved. So it's
Well,
awesome.
they're busy the last week, right?
I know, right?
Gosh.
Man, what a hassle that can be. And if you can have, all hands on deck for a situation even like that, that's incredible.
One of the things that has been really interesting in our conversation is it sounds like that your organization is kind of the catalyst of things, but they kind of continue on their own or they expand. And that sounds like it's the entire goal and mission of this group is to kind of start something and have it move on its own. And it's really fascinating because I'm listening to this and going, this seems like such an easy concept to apply anywhere, right? Like, I mean, even within your own neighborhoods,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and I'll never forget, I remember 3 years ago, I did a neighborhood barbecue and every single person that came was like, we've wanted to do this for years, but nobody would do it. And then the second it would happen, then everybody came. Like we had 40 invites that went out and like 200 people showed up and it was like wildfire. So, and then they've continued to do it since leaving.
Right.
And so just that
It's the
catalyst.
action. It's the action step, right?
So interesting.
Journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
we have a saying with the Good Samaritans. We kind of jokingly say, when in doubt, put it out. We're just like my videos, if you've seen any of them, are so campy and they're unrehearsed. And I take them on one take, and half the time I mispronounce people's names. I give the wrong organizations credit for things.
Join the club. We got jackets.
Yeah, I have done it plenty of times on this podcast show.
So we say you miss all the shots you don't take. So like go out and asking for sponsors, all they can say is no. And so we've been really lucky. Our community has really got behind us, and just about everywhere we went for the gala, for door prizes, I don't think anyone said no. They all gave us, a basket to sell at the gala. So it's an easy sell, right? We're selling love, and we're selling making people cry. So it's been
incredible.
a very rewarding journey, and it's been growing really fast, at least, especially in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
It is.
What a great story. And just simple acts of kindness, right? And simple help.
Yeah,
Especially for those that aren't asking.
We do a thing. Melissa Lundmark came up with March into spring, 30 random acts of kindness, and we do a new one every day. And she came up with this idea. So literally in March, I made a video every single day, and it was a new random act of kindness you could do. And then again, tie into our T-shirts. If someone would do it and post on Facebook, I would send them a T-shirt. And
Cool.
but we figured that of the it's actually 31, I think, right, in March. But of the 31, I think 21 didn't cost anything. So
There you go.
you can
There you go, folks.
you can make an impact with no money.
Yeah.
We'll make
Interesting.
sure to drop your contact information into the show notes, and people can reference back to that because that's so wonderful, especially knowing that there's access to doing random acts of kindness that are $0, nothing out of your own pocket.
Interesting. Makes my noodle.
You gonna take that challenge on in the month of March?
We had one lady, and I didn't. This is how the magic of the internet, right, and then magic of social media. A lady in Illinois, she found us somehow, and she did every single one, and every
No
day
way.
she did all 31 random acts of kindness,
That's really
and then she posted it on Facebook. I mean, someone I'd never met before, and now she's a buddy of mine, right? I mean,
What was their takeaway from that?
well, I think she just her nature was already a good Samaritan, and just it struck a chord with her, and she's like, I love this idea. I'm going to do every single one, and she
Kind of
did.
like a workout challenge for philanthropy.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Hmm.
cool.
I like it.
yeah.
So we'll be wrapping up here in just a moment, but as a teaser to our last section for our show, let's talk about your vision for Good Samaritan and expansion, and then call to action as well.
Sounds great.
Cool. As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. We'll see you on the next side. Flip side.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. And
Not going to say it. I'm just kidding.
as a reminder,
we love our 5-star reviews, especially our transitions in and out of our segments.
Yes.
They are of legend.
Yes. And we keep working on them. So we are in our last section. And again, if you are tuning in just for the first time, we have Mike Kaiser of Good Samaritan on with us.
With what? From where?
Forest, lake,
Area.
Good Samaritans.
Goods,
Flags.
You guys, the pregnancy brain is it is in full-fledged mode right now. So
it's all good.
But I at least know that for this section, we're going to talk about vision, about what you envision for Good Samaritan, perhaps expansion of it, and anything else that you would love our listeners to hear about Good Samaritan. So
Okay. Well, one thing that we've had on our action item list for a while, and now it's going to finally happen, is we're going to start a podcast. We were approached at our gala from Paul Peterson. He's a local guy that has a studio. He teaches how to create podcasts for the high school kids.
Oh, cool.
And they have their own studio there. And he says, come down, we'll set you up and get you going. And so 2023 is going to be, after talking about it for a couple of years, we're finally going to do it. So hopefully with the magic of podcasts and internet and all that, maybe you reach the right, all it takes is the right person, one person. We have several in our group who all of a sudden they came to one event and they became just this dynamo, and now they're involved in everything and recruiting their friends, and you just never know where you're going to hit that right sweet spot where someone that matters to somebody, and all of a sudden they dive right in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's a lot of fun. It really is. As somebody who has their own podcast and then doing this show, if you've got a passion behind it, it's an incredible way to get the word out. So,
and it's
good
pretty
for you
incredible
guys.
how quickly the word spreads. I mean,
Mhm.
This show, it was really cool in the beginning, like the first few episodes, it really energized the Rotary community.
Mhm.
Because I mean, that's really who was tuning into the show for the most part. But then as we've expanded and as we've begin to connect the dots and do all of these things, it's just started to reach a broader audience of people who are looking for service. And that's what attracts people like you to come on the show, is because you're living it, you're doing it. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. So good luck with the podcast in 2023. And if you need any guests, you just let us know.
Well, I'll tell you, and you guys would be perfect guests, because my thoughts are highlighting each week a person, I call them superheroes amongst us that you don't know that they're out there, but they are. And
don't give him any funny ideas.
I was just gonna say, was my costume?
He doesn't need this, okay?
It does look like
Just
Clark Kent.
go on. Tell me how I'm a superhero.
He does kind of look like Clark Kent. Do you think?
I know he does. Why do you think I married him?
Because I'm Superman.
See, here we go.
Yeah.
Now it'll come up here in the next 7 minutes.
That's good. I started a seed, planted a seed. But yeah, just highlight people doing good things in the world, and
That's
have
awesome.
a new one on every week. And then people can hear about good things that are going on in their community and around the world, and rather than turning in the news every night and thinking that everything's going to hell,
Yeah. Well, and I think something that, especially in our conversation is how small the change needs to be, or the gesture that needs to be, to have the massive impact that it does. Because everybody, I mean, it's hard to argue that people don't want to serve their community or serve people, help people. And sometimes it's just lacking that vehicle, and, they don't want to organize the entire event, but they can show up at one, or give money, or give time. And so I think that our hats off to you for, having this idea and running with it for the last 5 years. I think it's incredible. So take us 5 years from now. What's your role? What are you doing? And what are we celebrating? What are we what are we cheersing to?
I would love from 5 years from now to be at a national conference of Good Samaritans.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh.
Have 50 states there, you know, and talk about what we've done in the world and what kind of changes people have made. How many people have you impacted?
Mm-hmm.
Best way to have a goal achieved is by getting it out there into the universe. So this is a good start.
Well, and for you joining a organization like Rotary that's in all 50
Mhm.
states and all over the world.
There you go.
Wow.
There's a good marketing
Man,
channel right there.
man, it's like you could maybe get a grant or something.
Wait, there's a foundation or something, right? I'm just new at this Rotary stuff, but
Yes,
there's a
there-
lady that's a foundation chair.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So,
Or
I
you
mean,
can
it's-
listen to an episode, would it have been 3 or 4 ago that we talked about the Rotary Foundation on here. So
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, it's a good reference point.
Yeah, I'll have to tune in.
what's the call to action to anybody that's listening to the show right now?
Well, if they want to find us, they can look up for us on Facebook. It's Forest Lake Area Good Samaritans is one group. And then we've got Forest Lake MN Good Samaritans as a page. And then, of course, we've got a website. It's Forest Lake Area Good Samaritans. So that's an easy way. And on those, we've got a phone number that anyone could call in. And more importantly, if anybody hears this that are not in Forest Lake, maybe the surrounding communities, and they're like, hey, I want to start a club like that. How do I do it? I'm super happy to meet with them. And I can give the 5-year rundown on what we did and things to do and not do to create their own club. And it's not as daunting as people think.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the journey to 1,000 steps begin.
Or-
1,000. What? My God, help me out
Say
here.
it, Mike. You had it.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts
Miles.
with a single step.
Sometimes my brain. I
Well,
tell
remember,
ya.
we're the product of the 5 people that you're closest to. So
Yeah.
she's got baby brain. I've got proximity baby brain.
And I'm getting it.
Well,
But we got it.
I can certainly say, Mike, that you've inspired me to want to do this in the Edina area. So I will definitely be reaching out to you on how you started it, how it, how to form it, how to create it, and hopefully we can one step at a time.
Yeah. See you at the conference in 5 years.
That's right.
He might be on your board of directors. You
Keynote
just never
speaker.
know.
Better. I like keynote speaker.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, and we hope that this has been inspirational to individuals who maybe are not a part of Rotary, right? But certainly love to do random acts of kindness or give back to their community, and they go, wait a second, I could actually like have a club of some sorts and not have it be the most challenging thing to overcome. So
Better yet, I mean, if somebody's listening to this and you are doing something very similar to this in your community,
mhm,
I would say reach out to Mike and
for sure.
connect, share the experiences, because one of my favorite things about what you shared as well is as you're growing, that ability to share the experiences back and forth and learn from one another to become a better group, serve better, serve more efficiently, and just ultimately do more good, I think is really important. So if you're doing something out there that matches this, reach out. I think that'd be excellent.
Well, and we do know that this has gone more on the domestic level too with our specific podcast. So if you're outside of just the Twin Cities metro area, it's the same thing. Mike is a good person to have that conversation with.
Yes, hit me up. We have a group that's going to start in Maryland even. And one thing that we did that was kind of fun is we had our contest, the Cleanest City in America contest. It actually became the Cleanest City in the World contest. We had people in Japan and Brazil, Australia, all these different
How
communities
cool.
were all cleaning up on Earth Day and then counting how much trash we collected together.
It's
So
incredible.
the magic of the internet, goes all over the place.
I know. And to think that it wasn't too long ago that we didn't even have the internet. So it's
That's
a
right.
wonderful tool. But We did want to obviously take a moment to just thank you for taking time out of your day and traveling over here to this side of the country, as I like to say.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. I really look forward to it. It's been great.
Yes, and thank you for the swag too, but more importantly, for sharing Good Samaritan's mission and where you plan to go in the next 5 years. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's inspiring. I think we can all take away how small acts of kindness have just absolutely titanic impact on people's lives. So
Mhm.
thank you for modeling that, and thank you for explaining to us how your organization works.
And thanks for having me on.
Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk,
And I'm Joseph Kirk,
and as a reminder, it's time to stop searching
and start serving.